Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Sustainability to Sea. I'm so happy we are back together. As you can see, I am literally in bed right now, and that's because this has been a whirlwind of a month. For the stretch between Earth Month and World Ocean Month is truly something I can't explain, and it's only getting more intense each year. But nonetheless, we're making it through. It's literally a gift to do this work. So I wanted to dedicate a full episode, just us, to sharing with you about my experience going to our ocean in Greece in April. And the reason this is coming a little late is because those of you that follow me on social media may have realized I actually went from our ocean to my own wedding. So I've been on a honeymoon. I got home a few weeks ago. I've been like burying myself out of my email inbox, and now I'm here ready to tell you guys about it. So that's what we're going to talk about here. If you're interested in going to conferences, if you're interested in the international conference landscape, this episode is for you. Or if you're just interested in better understanding what the ocean game is, this is the move. So sit down, strap up, and let's get into the episode. Welcome back to Sustainability and the Sea. I'm going to have my phone on this episode because I'm like looking at the photos to kind of like jog my memory. But the first thing is like, what is our ocean and how did I get there? Because that's a big one. So our ocean is the largest annual ocean conference in the game. It's international. It's been going on for, I believe, 10 years. I can fact check that right now. It was started actually by John Kerry. And the idea is to get all of the ocean leaders around the world into the same room so that they could talk about ocean commitments. It's also a huge opportunity to get philanthropists into the room so that they can make ocean commitments. So commitments are something you'll hear me talk about throughout the episode. Commitments are like where like governments or where philanthropists will be like, we commit to establish this marine protected area. We commit to give $10 million. So essentially just like all the big dogs in one place. And I actually wrote this on my vision board in January. I wrote Our Ocean Greece. I didn't know when it was. I didn't know when the application was opening, and I just wrote it. And I think that all of us should have vision boards because they've really changed my life. So how did I get there? So I went to Our Ocean Greece as a young ocean leadership delegate. A young ocean leader. Yeah, a young ocean leader with Sustainable Ocean Alliance. Sustainable Ocean Alliance is an incredible international organization that works on resourcing young people in the ocean space. So it was founded by this incredible Ecuadorian woman named Daniela Fernandez. And she basically there's a ton of different programs. They have accelerators for small businesses. They have like micro grants, and then they also have delegations. And so I was stalking their social media, which is the way to find out about it. And they'll have like delegations to like Our Ocean, or they'll have it to other conferences. Like a huge focal point for Sustainable Ocean Alliance is deep sea mining. And so they'll send like a youth delegation to like the International Seabed Authority discussions or something like that. And you find out about all of this on their social media and on their website. And when they put out that application, it said, like, I was stalking them. I was like, what's going on? And I've been working with Sustainable Ocean Alliance to help pass a deep sea mining ban in Hawaii for a little bit, but not like heavily. And also it's a really big organization. So I reached out to my contact there and I was like, hey, like, is this application still happening this year? Like, are you guys doing delegations, whatever? Because I had seen a bunch of people that I knew go in past years. And I was like, I really want to go. The only requirement is like under 35. And so that a youth ocean leader can it's from around the world. So they sent 100 youth delegates from over 40 countries to Our Ocean this year. I was part of the North America crew, and there was maybe like 12 of us, and we were across the nation. I was the only person from Hawaii. And yeah, it was amazing. They pay for everything, their accommodations. There's a youth, similar to kind of Aspen Ideas, if you guys listen to that episode. There's like a youth ocean leadership summit the day before the main conference. So you do the all day youth summit, and then you go on to the main conference. And the main conference is like a typical conference where there's like a huge jam-packed agenda and you can pick what sessions you want to go to. This was amazing, you guys. And let me just see when our ocean started. So that was kind of how I got there. And let's see. Okay, all right, I just checked it. Our ocean conference began in 2014, and it was actually a U.S. initiative started by John Kerry, like I said, and the idea was around just getting people to care a little bit more, which is something we all really care about. So, okay. So we get there. So I sign up for Greece, and what's amazing is because they fly you out, a lot of people stayed, a lot of people did a lot of travel after, and I just flew to my wedding after. So let me tell you a little bit about this experience. So there was some connection calls. Sustainable Ocean Alliance is an incredible organization. If you want to go to this, you should apply and just like kind of scour what they're putting out, because there's delegation calls all the time. It doesn't seem like they send people back multiple years, but like this was obviously the year I'm going, and I'm probably not going to apply again. And it was impeccable. Okay, so the highlights of the Youth Ocean Summit. So the Leadership Summit was all the young people and a lot of panels and discussions. We did some activities. And this year, our ocean was hosted in Athens, Greece. So that's where we all met. It's hosted at a different place every year. And the Youth Ocean Leadership Summit, the day was probably one of my favorite days, because Sustainable Ocean Alliance set it up. There was a session where there were mentors, and so there were people that had come to Greece for the main conference and then are in like the SOA mentor hub, and so you got to talk to people really established in the field and ask them all your questions. I got to connect with Sea Legacy in person. I became an ambassador with them in the fall, and so I got to connect with their team in person for the first time, and that was incredible. I got to meet with NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, like the federal agency that administers ocean-related issues and weather for the U.S. They had a ton of representation there, and one of them was a mentor who worked in youth engagement, and I thought that was really amazing. And we just got to like sit at a table and be humans with these people and ask some questions, all knowing we all cared about the same thing. The highlight of that day was meeting Sylvia Earle. So this is the craziest thing about ocean conferences, you guys, is like it's not a big space. Like where they're hosting these conferences, like it's not giant. It's not a college campus. It's like a couple rooms. And so you're just like walking around and you're like, that is Sylvia Earle. That is Alexandra Cousteau. That like they are right there. Like that is Enric Sala. Like these people that I have stalked my entire life were like 5 feet away from me. And I don't want to say like that creepily, but you girls, you got to get it. You know. Okay, so we knew Sylvia Earle was gonna be chatting with us at the youth summit. Okay, she had a panel. It was amazing. I filmed a lot of it and put it on the FutureSwell Instagram if you guys want to check it out. She was like, we don't need deep sea mining. She was like, we need to respect sharks the way that Polynesians and Hawaiians respect sharks. We need to never stop whaling. She said something that I want to carry on and pass on to all of you guys, which is that you might think that you're radical, or people call you radical in your life, but really you're just ahead of your time. And like they used to say that stopping whaling was radical, and now we look at it and we're like, those people were crazy. And so don't forget that. I love her. Also, okay, so meeting her. All right, so a few people with SOA knew Sylvia. Okay, so I see her and I gasp. Okay, and I'm like, I did this at Aspen Ideas, you guys, when I saw Dr. Catherine Hayhoe from the Nature Conservancy. I like gasped and was like, Dr. Hayhoe. And she heard me and she looked at me and she clearly knew like, okay, this girl loves me. And so then I got to meet her. But I was like, I'm not going to do that again. That is the most embarrassing thing ever. Okay, but I did it with Sylvia because it was Sylvia Earle. What are you supposed to do? Not react? So, and also I will say every single person was doing it. Like that woman is just constantly moving around with an orb of young people, like looking at her from afar, and she knows. And so I meet her You guys, she's tiny. Like, she's tiny, but she's tiny. She is tiny. Okay, I'm gonna say it again. So I'm like towering over her, and I'm like, hi, Dr. Earle. Like, I just want to let you know, like, you're one of the reasons I'm here. I know you hear it all the time, but you've broken so many glass ceilings for women, and I'm so grateful for you. But it came out totally jumbled and not eloquent like that in any way. Then Bodhi, my friend Bodhi, you guys know Bodhi, is like, everyone's probably said that to her. And I was like, I don't care. It's true. Like, I'm not going to try to stand out to Sylvia Earle right now. I just need her to know. She hears it all the time. And she was like, thank you so much for, like, like, I'm here because of you guys. And I'll tell you a little, there's another Sylvia Earle story. She comes back around, baby. And then I actually get to, like, hang out with her. Yeah, hang out till this stretch. Then I actually get to spend time with her. That's not like me being like, Dr. Earle. Like, okay, anyway. So I meet her, and that was amazing. And then she has an incredible panel. She's so kind. She's so generous. She just is a soft soul, and she's done so much for us. And I hear different perspectives, like I hear people be like, she needs to diversify her speeches or whatever. And I'm just like, she has done so much. Like, I don't know if she needs to be pushing boundaries anymore. Like, she knows her thing. Like, it's like, we need to care about nature, we need to care about other species, and we need to save the ocean. It's the lifeblood of our planet. And like, that's enough for me, guys. We need to carry the torch and continue to spread those messages. So amazing. Okay. Also, so then you're like, okay, I did that. We have the panel, and then you're like eating lunch or getting a coffee, and she's like next to you, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna not be creepy right now, but like, we're both getting coffee, and then you like you try to have small talk. It's ridiculous. You guys have to go. So, and the way that it goes otherwise, like if you're over 35, is like, I think you can get if you're like in an international NGO, they get like badges. And so then you could go. So like, there's like representation from like certain people. So, okay. The second thing I wanted to tell you guys is, when you entered the conference part of it, there's like a lot. It's very overwhelming. But what happened with me, which is the craziest shit I've ever heard, is we had a meeting. This was the other thing I want to tell you, is we had a meeting with the US government. And this was organized by Sustainable Ocean Alliance. Somebody called, and I don't know if they refer to themselves as this, but someone was telling me about this over like, after conference drinks, which is where all of the real bonding happens. And they were like, Sustainable Ocean Alliance has really positioned themselves like kind of as like a youth government. Like, they're international, but it's all young people. And this youth government like is being taken very seriously internationally in these spaces. Like, at the end of it, I'm sorry, I'm a little scatterbrained. I'm just gonna like our ocean dump on you guys. At the end of it, like, we were posing for a group photo. There's like 100 of us, right? It was hard to coordinate. And the South American coordinator for Sustainable Ocean Alliance was like, we're going to take a video. The president of Peru needs to sign an MPA. And so like, we all chanted like, President of Peru, sign the MPA. And this marine protected area is like, I guess there's been like, this is like the last step, is the signature. And he put in our group chat like a week ago. So this was at the beginning of March or the beginning of April when this was happening. Like, she signed it. And it's like, those social media things like are so important, but also we were doing that in front of the entire conference. So all of these delegates from all these countries, all of these ocean leaders working across the entire world are seeing 100 young people chant, President of Peru, sign the MPA. And I'm sorry, but like, if you're going to not sign it after that, it doesn't look great. And those are the types of like monumental moments that I want to get better at, like harnessing and seeing like we can have such an impact right now if we're like strategic. So in the same vein of that, so then the conference started and we had this meeting with the US government. To preface this, there was like the first day before the youth summit. So we all arrive and there's like a welcoming reception, and then there was the youth summit, and then there was 2 days of the conference, and then it ended. So at the welcome reception, we were told this was a welcome reception for the SOA youth. All of these extremely important people were there. So Secretary Littlejohn, who is like very high up in the US government and like definitely oversees like ocean and climate related issues for the administration, is here. And someone, I'm not great with faces. I also don't know how all the intricacies and complexities of the US government. And someone's like, do you know who that is? And they say it. And I'm in a conversation with her. We're tying bowline knots. We're tying like boat knots. Okay. And she's like, I was like, thank you so much for being here, like, and listening to us. And she goes, like, what do you want me to know? You guys, me, 2 glasses of wine in at the youth welcome reception, talking, having a chat, trying to just humanize, right? Like, it's hard when people are coming up to you and everything's so serious. Like, trying to just humanize and connect with this person. And this person who oversees ocean strategy for the U.S. government asked me what I want her to know. Like, you should have seen my face. I was like, oh my God, this was the moment that I prepared for. What can I say? And I am proud of what I said. I said, like, coastal communities are losing everything. Lahaina lost everything to the climate emergency. And, our ocean is the best climate solution, and ocean and coastal communities, like, have all the answers, and you need to just empower them. And, like, nature-based solutions for the ocean, which she didn't know. I don't know if she knew what nature-based solutions was. Like, these nature-based solutions, like, already exist. We really just need to, like, use them. But it came out jumbled and terrible and nervous. And just, you guys, I don't know if you think that I have my shit together, but I'm just trying my best. So that happened at the youth reception. So once that happened and I was, like, thrown for a loop, I came with my A game and then fumbled the bag with Sylvia Earle, and then tried to come with my A game again, because we had a planned meeting with this incredible woman and her team. Okay. So we're like, okay, her team is, like, clearly she's a leader, she's a public figure, but, like, her staff is, like, doing so much of the intricacies of the work. And we have a 1-hour meeting with them. And it is, God, and there's a lot of us. It's all the North American delegation. We talk about marine debris. We talk about shark finning. We talk about storytelling. We talk about nature-based solutions. We talk about coastal communities. We talk about coral reef restoration. And they just listened. They had nothing to say, which was amazing. They were like, we just want you to tell us what's important to you. And I'm like, oh, Riley, you want to be part of the episode? Come on. Well, this is the first Sustainability in the Sea episode that's being recorded in bed, so bear with me over here. Great. Some great background noise over here. God, Riley, FutureSwell production. It's not a good look. Okay. So, the main thing that I want to tell you guys that I took out of that meeting was I basically told these people, and we all collectively did as young people, like, I wanted to be a marine biologist and study the ocean, and I realized I had to become an ocean conservationist, because the ocean needs to be conserved. And now that I'm, like, entering mid-career, I have to become, like, a restoration expert, because the ocean doesn't need to be conserved and managed anymore. It needs to be, like, actively restored to rebuild what has been lost. And, like, that message in itself is something that I think that I just want to, like, hone in on the future swellies here right now, which is just that, like, we have so much that we still need to figure out. Like, restoration is a new game, yo. Like, we have so much to figure out. And talk about untapped jobs. My friend Gray from Charleston, who is a youth leader, was like, this is called the restoration economy. Like, the restoration economy is completely untapped. We can take everyone who may be getting displaced as the fossil fuel industry falls and retrain them to build, like, great paying restoration jobs, literally rebuilding our planet. Like, okay. Thank you, Sustainable Ocean Alliance, for trusting me as a youth leader. And thank you for organizing this meeting, which I think was initiated by the U.S. government. I don't know how I got into that room, and I feel honored. Okay. The third thing I need to tell you guys is, so I told you that, oh my gosh, sorry, resituating. Hi. Okay, so I told you guys that, like, you were just walking around and people were there. And so I, of course, a psycho storyteller, was like, we need to be sharing all of these announcements. And so they had a blogger delegation for the main conference, which, like, at that point my youth stuff was, like, youth obligations were pretty much done. And I found them and was like, hey, do you guys have any like youth media representation at the conference yet? And they were like, oh yeah, just like these two people that were two people I know, Bodie and Liz. And I reached out to them and I was like, hey guys, like what's going on? What's the situation with this? And they're like, they just want us to like help cover stuff. So I entered the chat heavy, which of course, like at that point, these conferences, they're big and they're fancy, but they're organized by people. And so things are inevitably happening. If you've ever planned a big event, things are happening last minute sometimes. And so I entered the chat and I said, please, I would love to cover this. And they were like, oh, we'd love you to. And that moment is when FutureSwell became an official media partner to Our Ocean Greece 2024. And I think I need to like maybe take myself out to dinner on that one, because it's been like 4 years and I'm just like looking into a camera right now and telling you guys my ocean thoughts. But when those types of things happen, I remember that like there's a lot of really big stuff on the other side of this camera. So thanks for being here for it. And so what do we get to do? I got to share with you guys everything, which I was going to do that anyway. So it was easy. And the other thing that happened is that I got to access to a studio. So, okay, I got access to two things by being a media partner. I also want to do more of these as FutureSwell. Like I want to go and take the announcements to you guys, because that's what's so crazy about these conferences is like people just see the announcements or maybe they don't. And then they're just like, we're not in these rooms. We don't get to go. Like, and all of these ocean conservation solutions that are being literally pioneered at these conferences have to be brought outside conference walls, and it has to be done through storytelling. And so that's literally my goal in life, is just to do that for you guys for the rest of my life. It'd be like the best life ever, to be able to just teach you guys how everyone else is saving the ocean. Okay, anyway, so I got access to two things. One, I got access to the press conferences. So press conferences are where there's like a tiny room and there'll be like a panel of like the big people like Alexander Cousteau and like Bloomberg Leadership, the Ocean Initiative, who we partnered with for, oh gosh, I have so much to tell you guys. And it'll be like, a briefing on marine protected areas. And they will summarize kind of all their announcements. So if say the Minister of Greece or the president of Palau wants to say, one example is the president of Palau ratified the High Seas Treaty and announced that at this conference. The High Seas, aka the open ocean, covers about half of our planet, and the High Seas Treaty needs to be ratified by 60 countries with the goal by next year, by June 2025, so we can start making open ocean marine protected areas, because right now we can't make marine protected areas unless they're in the jurisdiction of the country. So like there's like the U.S. marine protected areas like in California and Hawaii, but like we need to go be making them like in the open ocean in the Pacific. So that's like some context for you guys. So Palau was like, we ratified, and he chose to announce that on a like at a, not a panel, but like at a session. And then President Whips re-announced it at the press conference. So the press briefing is like high level summaries of kind of around the topic. So there was a couple on Antarctica. There was one on Antarctica, one on deep sea mining, one on marine protected areas. And another thing that happened while I was there is that NOAA declared a mass bleaching event for the entire world. So I was interviewing a coral reef expert through a partnership with Bloomberg Ocean Initiative the day after that happened. And she was like, I haven't slept. Emily Fielding, you should go watch the video. She has some really important things to say that make us hopeful for the future. So I got access to the press briefings, which were really difficult to like film in, but were like people were getting sound bites. They had like, all of the big media people like Associated Press. It's a very small room, and they're asking questions and they're writing articles and they're sharing announcements. And it's really to get the message of the conference out. But I was actually like surprised by how little videos were actually taking place. And the second thing I got access to was the studio room. So they had a studio room that you could rent out for free, of course. And you could interview people, and there was an entire camera set up. It was quiet. There was a backdrop. Y'all, we use that studio. At one point, I just blocked it in for an hour, and me and Bodhi just like pulled people in, and we're like 5-minute segments, 5-minute segments, and all that stuff's gonna be going out, or it has been going out, and I filmed like an intro of like what we do and who we are to go on YouTube. You guys gotta follow the FutureSwell YouTube. We just dropped like a sea turtle hospital vlog, and it's awesome. But people were not using that studio, which just goes to show like how far we really do have to come with ocean storytelling. It's just, we have so much to do. And then those were kind of the two things, and obviously like a group chat where we got to share announcements. But I thought it was really amazing to be able to be in a room with the folks sharing the announcements and directly ask them questions. And it was hard to juggle on top of the rest of the obligations, but it was really important, and I'm really happy that I was honored to be an official blogger and to share it on FutureSwell. So if you want to see some of those announcements and some of those messages, those are on FutureSwell, Instagram and YouTube and TikTok. So all the things. And okay, and then the last thing I wanted to tell you guys about for our ocean is like there's a lot of issues around, and I think this is just like, I'm new to the international game, right? I don't know what's going on international conferences, and I learned so much that connected the dots on like some core ocean issues that I just kind of want you guys to know. So this last segment is going to be me like explaining those. I've been hyper local for a really long time. I've been working on a very specific species in Hawaii. I've been working on a very specific policy. Also, the deep sea mining ban passed in Hawaii. What? I can't even I got it. Haven't even shared that. The governor still has to sign it, but anyway. Clearly I'm scatterbrained right now, guys. Bear with me. So the main things are like really how much of a collective global effort is going towards ocean conservation right now. Like there's these key issues. There's the High Seas Treaty, which I briefly talked about, and there's like they calling it a race to ratification. And I actually had the honor of partnering with the Bloomberg Ocean Initiative to interview them on some of the global ocean conservation solution programs that they help make possible as a philanthropy. One of them was the High Seas Treaty. And the High Seas Treaty is something that is a bare minimum to us being able to really protect the ocean, because we have to protect 30% of it in the next 6 years. So if we have 6 years to do this, we can't even get close to doing it without a High Seas Treaty. So it's kind of something that's going on the next year. So if you want to engage in that like there's a lot to do. It's basically like you can go to the High Seas Alliance website and see if your country has either already ratified or committed to ratifying. And if they haven't committed to ratifying, you can like email your government and contact them on social media or do like a social media campaign. And the second is coral reefs, right? Coral reefs are on the front lines of the climate crisis. The global bleaching event was announced. It's not looking good. I'm so scared for mass bleaching this summer in Hawaii. And like we just saw it in Australia. Like NOAA announcing that is huge because it's like, I think it's the 4th and it's one of the largest. And so like we're going to see such vast marine food chain impacts from this. And that's devastating to hear, especially when we're all there together. And so when I was interviewing Emily for the Bloomberg partnership, she was just sharing with me what like thermal resilience and thermal like tolerance and what these like, these coral reefs that are adapted to the warming oceans, how they really are hope spots for coral reefs, and that not all reefs are going to make it, just like not all species are going to make it, but there are some that are adapted to survive, and the ones that will adapt will survive. And that was consoling. And then the third thing was obviously deep sea mining. So deep sea mining is a huge issue, and it's something that some countries feel strongly about and some countries are really staying out of the conversation. The US in particular is not doing enough. So I focused on the state ban with Sustainable Ocean Alliance, and we need that in every state. So we need it federally too. And I think that the entire issue needs its own sustainability episode, but we just like, it's just the silliest thing we could be doing right now. Go mine the deep sea and destabilize the only carbon sink. God. Okay, and then the last story I want to tell you guys is when I got to hang out with Sylvia Earle. Hang out is a loose term. So I saw some people that I'd met over Zoom that I hadn't met in person yet, and I said hello, and they're amazing, so warm and inviting. It was Antoinette Gallifrey. She's an incredible philanthropist. They run a foundation, and I was like, oh, like, so lovely to meet you. How are you enjoying it? She's like, oh my gosh, we need to stop whaling in Iceland. And I was like, we do need to stop whaling in Iceland. Like, I didn't realize that that was out for debate right now. Like, I clearly am not knowledgeable on the issue. And she was like, I'm trying to coordinate a giant social media campaign right now on it. And I was like, oh, I think I can help you with that. And we coordinated in the span of, you guys, 45 minutes. We just grabbed people because it's such a small space, and we had like a core message of the campaign, and I was like, I'll film everything on iPhones, on GoPros, filmed 15 to 20 second sound bites of people talking about why, you know, we can't be going backwards on whaling. We cannot be allowing whaling again. We must protect whales. And then we were like, let's get Sylvia Earle. And they just asked her. And she came over, and I said, hi, hello. I just, you know, say what you want. I'm like crying. And I'm like, say what you want about whaling. Like, we know you have literally been championing whale conservation your entire life. So just whatever you say is perfect. I'm just going to keep the camera rolling. Me with my like no storage on my phone. And that video was just shared with all. Okay, so then we edit it. We activate on this campaign. We've been activating on it for the last couple weeks, but it was planned all of April, literally while I was getting married. And like all these huge orgs like Seaspiracy are like collab posted it, and it reached like so many people. And you can literally help stop whaling in Iceland right now at the link in my social media bios. Like right now. And I was reminded, we were only there for 3 days, one of which was a youth summit. So 2 days of the actual conference. And like every second counts. Like you have to make the most of every single second. When someone asks you what you think on an issue, you have to know what your answer is. When someone says, oh, I need help with social media campaign, it's like, do I have 6 minutes right now? I do. And that's why like I didn't get as much out of all of the panels as maybe other people, because these things were happening while panels were going on. And I knew that I would be able to get the announcements from the press briefings. And so my experience was not just life-changing, but it also just reminded me that like, if you have the privilege to be able to be in a room like this, it is low-key like an obligation to make the most of it for the ocean. And I barely slept the entire week. I actually got sick for like 2 weeks after Greece and my wedding because I just didn't rest. And we're still sharing takeaways from our ocean. I still have videos I'm going to put out on FutureSwell of Sylvia Earle's messages. I still have people I interviewed. We're going to be interviewing youth ocean leaders on the podcast like all year. And it's just so empowering to know that we're just not alone. Like you might be like, I'm the only ocean conservationist in of my friend group. You're definitely not in the world. You're definitely not in the world. And like, it was, and you have to go. And I'm just so grateful that there's an organization like Sustainable Ocean Alliance that just dedicates funding to making sure that people get to go, because it's nothing. I had a friend, Nina, God, Nina, are you listening? I had a friend, Nina, who was like, I'm a scientist, but I left this week learning that I have to be an advocate. And it's like, those are the things that you're fundamentally changed as an ocean advocate when you go to these spaces. And I used to be like, what are these conferences? What do they do? And it's up to us to be in those rooms pushing the mark, because otherwise they're just making announcements and making commitments that maybe aren't being followed through on. I think there was like, I don't want to say the wrong number, but there were billions of dollars in commitments that were made. There were like over 250 commitments made. And that's huge. And I think it's just probably on the website, the Our Ocean website. But we have to push the mark on what those commitments are, because otherwise they're just going to be talking about paper parks, marine protected areas without regulations the entire time. I found out that Greece's marine protected area allowed bottom trawling. I was like, what? What do you mean your marine protected areas allow bottom trawling? Like, if there aren't regulations or enforcement, these MPAs don't even matter. Like, I straight up, like, there's just so much nuance to every single issue, which means that there is so much opportunity for all of you guys. And that was just a fraction of my experience, and it was chaotic. And I didn't even get to tell Alex about it because we just met in Mexico and got married. And I want the world to be able to learn from this experience, which is why I made this episode. So thank you for chatting with me and listening to me ramble about our ocean, because I hope you took something from it, and I hope you just remember that you are so needed and the ocean needs you so badly. And we all feel lost sometimes, but when you're in rooms like that, you might remember that you're on the right path and that you're not so lost. So I love you guys. Thank you for listening to Sustainability in the Sea.